Hello, wonderful people. Welcome once again to our tutorials on JIRA for Scrum Masters. In this session, we are going to look at sprint planning. What actually do we do in sprint planning? Sprint planning is done in a dedicated meeting with the Scrum team. And during this meeting, the team actually discusses and decides on the user stories to be included in the sprint. So that is all what is done in sprint planning. Which of these user stories should they be working on? So, first of all, we said in the previous video, the user story must be refined, and then the user stories should be prioritized. So that is why, if you remember, we created another sprint we call ready items, but this is actually not always necessary. You can just have them ordered in the backlog session. So I'm going to take this one off. If you like, you can always create one. If you want to create a sprint, there is this button just on top of the backlog. If you hit on it, you can create any sprint you want to, and then it gives you these to actually be entering your items in. So this is not what we are looking at. We are looking at how we get items to this session. So for these items, let's say to get any items into the sprint backlog, first of all, it has to be prioritized. And secondly, we also have to consider the velocity of the team. Velocity means the maximum effort the team can be working on. So maximum user story points, sorry. So let's say when you realize the team's velocity is 10, you are not going to put stories here which will be more than 10. Let's look at this. So we have, let's say, we have these as the prioritized user stories, okay? And then the velocity is, say, 15. So what we'll do is, in order of priority, we can pick this one. It has a user story of 5. We pick it, and then we take it to sprint 1. So we have 5. We say the velocity is 15. So we need 10 more user stories. And we pick this one also to the 5. It makes it 6. We pick this one. It makes it 9. We pick this one. It makes it 13. 13 plus 5 will be more than the 15. So we can have a discussion with the product owner. Okay, if it is not going to be a challenge for us to pick, to bypass this user story and then say pick this one. If product owner agrees, we can pick this one, for instance, 13 plus 2, and then we get a 15. Okay, at this point, we say we are done with the sprint planning. And also in sprint planning, mostly this is where we actually do assigning of the user stories to the developers. But note, we don't do estimation in sprint planning because that is going to take a lot of your time. At best, you do your refinement a week earlier, right? Some people can be having a backlog, sprint ready backlog of items that can even last through 2 sprints. You don't want to do more than 2. It is also not helpful because you have to come back and be communicating on it and be reviewing, revising, So you just it is done periodically, right? And it is done throughout the sprint. So as you are working, you'd also be doing a backlog refinement for the next sprint. So within every sprint, you'll be doing a backlog refinement, backlog prioritization for the next sprint. So that by the time you get to the next sprint, you would already have items that are refined, that are prioritized, and you can just pick and then you drop into that sprint. So this is sprint one. And then when we have all our items here, we just hit on the start button, okay, to say we are ready. But then also we have to give certain details to the sprint. Okay, there are some details. We have to add the sprint goal, and then we have to indicate our sprint duration. What kind of sprint are we running? Are we running a 1 week sprint, a 2 week sprint, a 3 week sprint? Which so we have to indicate all those details also. So to add details about the sprint, you will come to the three dots after the start button right here. You click on it. Okay, and then you move to edit sprint. Click on the edit sprint. Yes, now do you want to change the name of the sprint? In our case, we don't want to, so it remains sprint one and the initials of Facebook, because we are developing Facebook. And then it says, what is the duration? The duration, you can decide to customize it, or you can decide to choose from a drop-down list. Let's see what it already has as the default drop-down list. It has 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. So we want to do 2 weeks. Okay. And then what is the start date? When you pick the start date, it's going to give you your end date. Look at how it works. So let's say the start date is today, or the start date is whatever, when you want to start. Okay, so we say on the sit, and then what is the end date? It gives you right here. It says it will end on the 20th. You click on here, and then you give the sprint goal. What is the goal? You have to enter the goal that will help the team to stay focused, and they will know exactly what is required to be achieved within that sprint. When you've entered the goal, you hit update. Okay, and then we say you are in the sprint. You click on start button, and then everything starts. Okay, now it brings us to the active sprints. Let's talk about active sprint in our next video. Thank you for joining me. If you enjoyed this, click the hit button and the subscribe button, and then we see you in the next video. Thank you.